Listening to a tape today by the late Sheikh Omar Ibn Jeng, may Allah be pleased with him. He was talking about the significance of walking, as a recipe for a retrogressive society, a backward society, that young people should be engaged in farming, in walking, in productive ventures, in order to save the country, to save life, to save the humanity, to save that society from being a backward, whatever bad attribute you can call the society. The only way to remove a society from being that is for young people to work. And if you listen to the president's dialogue with the people's talk, most of what he has been re-echoing is for young people to go to the farm. Let young people be engaged in productive ventures. Now, he went to the extent of saying he will give boats to people living on the coastal areas. A brilliant idea. Now, Doctor, aside from that, what do you think Islamically should people do to ensure that we live in a healthy society? Some societies are sick. And some societies are healthy. To live in a healthy society, what should we do?
One mistake that we always do, people understand religion, Islam, in a very narrow way. People have to understand, we got it wrong from the point of departure. Where we took it up, that's where we got it wrong. People have to understand that this Islam is a way of life. Whatever you do in this life, in your lifetime, every facet of life has its Islamic dimension. So to be a Muslim means a lot. And the moral aspect of it, why is society sick? Because society, and a great mistake society does is society feels that its own wisdom is quite enough for him or for it to survive.
Too complacent.
In fact, it's far more than from being enough. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created mankind. And the purpose of creating mankind is for them to worship God, either through direct spiritual activity or through serving humanity. You understand? Now, in order for us to do things the way Allah wants, God decided to send prophets. The prophets are the ones who conveyed the message of God to all of us. And all of them, consistently from Sayyidina Nuh up to Prophet Isa to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the message is very consistent. The wisdom is just abundant. And there was a time that one of the companion, if I'm not mistaken, it might be Sayyidina Ali or Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, if revelation or if the mission of the prophet and mission of religion could only be understood by rationality, by using
it's Ali bin Abi Talib. لو كان الدين بالرأي أسفل الخف أولى بالمسلم.
There are this is light type of shoe made of leather. Khuf that you can, that once you put them on, after ablution, if the ablution is spoiled, when you come back to the huge ablution, you may not remove them. You can just wipe on those. And then the act of wiping on those light shoes, according to ulama, wiping on top is mandatory.
On top of it, if it's like this, just on this, not the part that touches the ground.
The lower part which touches the ground, if you don't wipe it, your wudu is still valid. Sayyidina Ali said, if I was to judge by using
intelligence,
I would have said no. In fact, the lower part is mandatory because that's what touches the ground. So in other words, wisdom, teachings, fundamental teachings from God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are necessary. So we don't have to rely on what we feel is good. Let's refer back.
The rainy season is here now.
Yes, let's refer back to revelations. Let's go back to Revelation, to Al-Quran al-Kareem, and to the tradition of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam conducting his life? He was the first leader of the Islamic State. He was the first imam. He was the first qadi. He was the symbol of authority, responsible authority. He was the symbol of good behavior. He is the only one who was ever praised in the whole Quran because of good behavior. إِنَّكَ عَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. He had so many other good values, but Allah concentrated on his behavior because of the leading example that he had to set for others to follow, particularly those of us that are leaders. We must be very, very sensitive to the values, to the moral values, to make sure that we are honest, we are reliable, we are trustworthy. Like what the President was saying, you must not only believe that you are honest, but you must make sure that you are honest. You are a truthful person, very reliable person, very hardworking and very sincere. And after all, if you don't work, how are you going to survive? And how are you going to preserve your dignity? Are you going to rely on begging? Yeah. And how do you imagine or do you expect your donors how do you imagine the way they look at you? Because you always receive. You always at the receiver. You become a liability to society. And therefore, you become a stooge or a tool in their hands. They will twist and turn you the way they want.
You have no honor.
No, but if you work hard, you produce, you work and rely on your own earning.
No matter how little it is,
yes,
you can stand and brag and say, yes,
exactly.
I did this work and I have this. Now that we have a new factory, if I can put it that way, the flour milling machine here, I think that doesn't even push young people to grow corn, because they say it transforms corn into flour. You know, and we should start consuming, you know, bread made out of corn flour, I think.
And then that will help the price of commodity, basic commodity.
At least bread will come down, because bread is skyrocketing.
Yes.
Because the flour is from outside the country.
Exactly.
Now that we have a factory that can make flour inside the country, I think we only need the manpower to support the factory, so that they can have what to buy.
And the education. If you go to South Asia, particularly South Asia, India, Pakistan, in every household there is a small bakery. You know, they make bread themselves because it's a staple food.
With this, I think people even learn how to bake.
How to bake, yes. I think it's a very good idea.
To me, this is one of the greatest breakthroughs.
And therefore, immorality begins with laziness.
Can you repeat that again?
Immorality begins, you talk about moral behavior, with laziness.
Immorality.
Because, you know, they said, al-Islamu aqidatun wa shari'atun wa amal. There are three components. Islam as a way of life is constituted by three components. One is the faith. Believe in God, in His oneness, and in destiny, that whatever happens comes from Him. It is Allah alone who does things, who makes things happen. It is Allah alone who gives you. It is Allah alone who can deny you. Whatever Allah destined will happen. Let's fear only God and worship Him. Faith. That is Sharia. That is Aqidah. Second, Sharia. That's the nerve, the center of Islam. That's the regulations. Meaning that whatever you do in this world has to follow the regulations of Sharia. You are governed by the principles of Sharia. And that is why the laws of Sharia become comprehensive and dynamic, because it's meant to govern every aspect of life. Even this program, honesty, there are principles. The moral rules of Islam, they occupy huge volumes in Islamic law. You understand? There are rules on transactions. We were discussing transactions for several weeks. Rules on prayers. There are rules on governance. There are rules on taxation. If you read the history of Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, so then therefore, the second component, which is the nerve center, which touches the heart of the Islamic system as a way of life, is the regulations, Sharia. Now, the third component, guess is what? Work.
Ahmad Bamba said that.
Yeah. Ahmad Bamba was one of the greatest scholar of his time. In fact, read and heard from some of the ulama that he was one of the most learned scholars of his modern time. And of course, a very pious and dedicated Muslim. So which means that if you cannot be a good Muslim if you do not work. It's as simple as that. Because these three components constitute Islam. The faith, the body of rules of Sharia, and work. At our own individual level, how can work collectively? In Islamic law, you are not supposed to be employed. It's not mandated for the state to employ you. The responsibility of the state is only to provide a level playing ground, conducive environment. You can be employed by the state, you can be employed by employer organizations, you can employ yourself. But make sure you go out and do something that you can make a lawful earning. Because if you, the danger is you may end up eating riba and haram things. And if you living on filthy, earning and not unclean and haram, you become just like, how do you call it, a custodian for shaitan, and the activities of Shaitan, God forbid.
Okay. Ustaz, I think